Reggio, Emilia, the city where the study journey begins. Before the official study week started, I wanted to first experience the city itself, because Reggio Emilia is not just an approach to be copied, and to understand it more deeply, I felt like I needed to be present in its piazzas, streets, markets, and community spaces. We explored the city and came across Piazza San Prospero, which is also known as the Lion Square. There are 6 lions carved from red Verona marbles here. Standing here really made me think about how many people have stepped foot on these same grounds before us, gathering, trading, meeting, and even celebrating. It's really beautiful. We also went to the park outside Vienna Preschool. We could not film the school, but even from the outside, it was beautiful to see how close the school was to public life. And schools are not hidden away from the community, but they are part of the city's fabric. We visited Palazzo dei Musei, a free museum with a collection of natural history from land, sky, and sea. They are preserved specimens, and some exhibits were honestly quite confronting. But they made me think about preservation as a form of learning. Places like museums become important because children are not just learning from worksheets but connecting with real traces of life. And it made me wonder, how can we offer children richer encounters with the world, not just simplified versions of it. The Sunday before our official study trip week began, we travelled a little further out to Modena and visited the Enzo Ferrari Museum. Well, at first it felt like a little fun side trip, but actually it made me think a lot about the documentation. Ferrari's history was not presented only through words, but it was told through cars, sounds, recordings, phone, films, objects, space, and even the atmosphere. I could really feel the pride they had in their history, and that made me reflect on our own form of documentation about children's learning. Are we just recording what had happened, or are we helping others feel the thinking, the struggle, the joy, the identity, and the story behind the learning? Of course, learning also happened through food, and we learned that in Italy, 1 pizza per person is normal, and the gelato shops became our little Italian pronunciation practice corner. Something new every day. Then we walked to the Loris Malaguzzi International Center, greeted by the beautiful glass windows and visible documentation of learning. The center itself felt like a statement that education deserves a public, beautiful, and thoughtful space. The learning officially began. I was frantically writing notes the whole time, even though we could not film the content. But by the end of the 5-day study, I've used up 3 new pens and 1 full notebook. That's how much thinking was happening every single day. During breaks and more deeply on the 4th day, we were able to roam around and explore the ateliers. Honestly, the beauty of the ateliers is not about the expensive gadgets or fancy materials. It's about creating that condition for discovery. A piece of paper, a beam of light, a shadow, a wire, a mirror, a projection, a surface. All these everyday things become languages for children to think with. And the digital atelier actually brought back lots of memories for me, especially from the border crossings. I loved how the surfaces became frames for projection. The wall, the floor, the cloth, the curved surfaces, each one changed the image and changed the thinking. It reminded me that technology does not have to replace hands-on learning. When used thoughtfully, it can expand the perception. The language of gears was new to me. There were wheels, rams, strings, pulley, levers, Allen keys, pipes, connection, and so many tools. They invited the children to test relationships and movement. It made me see mechanical materials differently. They are not just construction toys, but they become a language for children to explore force, balance, connection, cause and effect, and many possibilities. This exploration on oscillation, inspired by the Girotondo school, really stayed with me. There was exploration on free fall and movement, the question on whether we could put it from top to bottom instead of bottom to top. And it made me reflect what are the forms of play that I might have stopped too early because I thought they were impossible. Am I, as an adult, putting learning into boxes of what's possible and impossible? And if we only allow children to explore what we already know is possible, then how would they ever invent something new? It also made me think about risk. Of course, safety matters, but do we sometimes reduce safety into don't do that? How can we instead support children to assess risk, negotiate with materials, and then build the judgment that they will need for life? Here's a sample note that the educators take for their confronto. What struck me is that it's not just a document to complete, but it's a living process of the observation, interpretation, discussion, and deciding what possibilities to offer next. We were also able to visit 2 schools during their curriculum hours, which was amazing because school visits had stopped after COVID and now resumed. What hit me was how pedagogy designs the environment so every area of the school was treated as a place where learning could happen. Think corridors, outdoors, windows, under the staircase. And learning happens during meal times too. So when pumpkin cookies were served, the whole pumpkin was also displayed for children to investigate. It was such a small but powerful details. It connected how the food goes back to nature or nature goes back to food, and it helps children to understand that food don't just appear. It has a source, a process, and a transformation. So intentional and also very yummy. It was non-stop learning. Back at the Loris Malaguzzi International Centre, we continued reading and looking at the documentation there. I love how the documentation was not just a display board. It had rich photographs, videos, work samples, and children voices that told a story. It made me wonder, why do the children's ideas in Reggio feel more unique and thought-provoking? But maybe the real question is not whether Italian children think more deeply and more uniquely. Maybe our children are already thinking deeply too. Or maybe we are just not always observing the right things. Are we looking too much about, did you meet the learning objective? Can you do this or not? And not enough for their theories and their curiosity, uncertainty and wonder about the world. So that was a very big shift for me. Then we visited Remida. Remida is a creative recycling center that collects discarded materials and gives them a new educational value. So it's not just about recycling, it's about sustainability, creativity, research, and changing the way that we see materials. So waste over here is not seen as rubbish, it's seen as something that we can still generate imagination and learning from, and even forming new relationships with the environment together as a collective community. This made me think about Singapore. How connected are we with different industries around us? Could we build partnership with interior firms, manufacturing companies, packaging suppliers, or even design studios so that excess materials can be reused for children's learning? Could we create our culture of seeing the potential in what others throw away? Because in Reggio again, materials are not just resources, they carry stories of production and use, history, transformation, and responsibility. After just a few days of lectures and visits, I already wanted to do so many things. I felt inspired, but also reminded that this work cannot be carried alone. Alone we may travel fast, but together we go further. And the dandelion reminds me of that, how one small seed can travel, land somewhere else, and begin another growth. Maybe not now, maybe not here, but definitely somewhere down the road. We also took part in what felt like a projecta zioni process, where adults came together to explore the materials and its possibilities. There may not be a fixed direction at first, but through conversations, listening, trying to pause, respond, something began to emerge slowly. And inquiry is just like that too, uncertain sometimes, and it does not always begin with a perfect plan. It begins with curiosity and dialogue. More so than ever, it reminded me, let's not lose the spirit of playfulness in all that we do. We listened to each other's sharing, offered suggestions, and imagined other possibilities for play.
Investigated the weight, the movements, and the gravity.
In the evenings, we decided to be brave and explore the city. We found a little pocket pizza place, and honestly, it was so underrated and so yummy. And again, let's not lose the spirit of playfulness, even in the markets, even while walking, even discovering a city after a long day of learning. Because playfulness is not just for children, it's also how adults stay open.
Now I'm motivated to ask questions.
Looking back, I felt very heartened to have been in this part of the study group. There were participants from more than 40 countries, from many walks of life. Some were educators, some were leaders, some were even mothers wanting to understand how to raise children in this changing world. Some were interior designers thinking about how to create better schools for the future generations. One of my biggest takeaway is the rights of children. Children's rights are not just nice words. Children's rights are adults' responsibilities. It's grounded in that image of child as strong, capable, full of potential, and a subject with rights. This means that our role as adults is to protect space for children's thinking, expression, relationship, hopes, and dreams. Curriculum is the heart of the school. And maybe curriculum is much simpler than we think. It's about showing children the world and allowing children to show us their perspective of this ever-changing world. It's an exchange of ideas, questions, dreams, and hope. And in a fast-paced society, schools may be one of the last remaining spaces where children and adults can slow down to really look carefully, listen deeply, and care authentically. I've also seen how documentation are shared with families in simple but consistent ways, such as printed photographs and learning traces outside the classroom. This transparency builds trust, it makes the learning visible, and it makes the school visible to the community. Another takeaway is that this is not a lonely path. Pedagogy grows through dialogue and through confronto, through thinking together, asking questions, daring to try something together. It grows. So it was not really about bringing back beautiful ideas and copying what is done in Reggio. It was really about asking what does it mean for us right now in our own context. How are we going to make children's learning more visible? How do we honor their voices more deeply? How are we going to design environments that invite thinking? And how do we involve families and communities as co-protagonists? And finally, how do we keep the spirit of playfulness alive, not just in children, in educators, and everyone in the community? So this trip may have started in Reggio Emilia, but the real work continues back home.